I'm Tom from DIY Life Tech, and this is a look at the OXO Good Grips Cold Brew Coffee Maker. So I love cold brew coffee. It's smoother and less acidic than coffee that's brewed with heat. And it's not just the same as like iced coffee where you brew coffee like you normally would and then cool it down. Cold brew is actually brewed cold with cold water over a long time period. And it makes, again, just this really excellent smooth coffee. And the OXO Good Grips cold brew coffee maker does a really great job of making it at home, which is something I wanted to be able to do. So very simple. First, we're just going to assemble this. It all nests together, as you can see here, so you can easily store it under the counter, and it doesn't take up a ton of space. We're going to flip this one over here, and then we're just going to put this piece on top, and then we've got what they call the rainmaker that goes on the top here. Now the last piece is we've got this glass carafe. It's almost like a beaker like you would get in a laboratory. Solid glass here. It's got this stopper that goes on top. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to take that off. This will slide underneath the cold brew coffee maker. So our next step is we're going to add our coffee, and you want to use a nice coarse ground, and you want to put in about 10 ounces. So before I do that, I just want to point out down at the bottom here, there's this little filter. And this is actually a metal filter, so you don't have to replace it, but they do give you some paper filters if you want to use those with this. But this actually is fine. You don't need to use a paper filter. They do give you that option, as some people apparently like to. Okay, so we got our 10 ounces of coffee in here. Nice ground coffee there. Now we're going to pop the rainmaker attachment on the top here. And then we want to measure out 40 ounces of cold water. I'm using filtered water from my fridge. You can use tap water. And there's a nice little marker on the side of this carafe so I can get the exact amount in there. So you can see it only goes up to 32. I'm going to start with that, and then I'll put in my additional 8 ounces. And the way we do that is super simple. We just start to pour into this rainmaker, and it's actually going to distribute it and make sure that it dribbles down onto the coffee evenly. As long as you keep this filled with water, it's going to spread that out, and that's really important to get even wetting of the grounds in there. So that's my full 32 ounces of water. Let's add the other 8. The rest of our water going in. Then we just slide the carafe underneath here. And now we basically wait, and you're going to be waiting for a bit. So they say to let this sit on the countertop here for at least 12 hours, up to 24 hours. I like to do 24 hours to get the most intense flavor. It's just going to sit. The grounds are going to be in the water here and contributing their flavor, and then we'll come back in 24 hours and do the next step here. Okay, now it's tomorrow, so this has been sitting for 24 hours. Again, I'm going to make sure the carafe is underneath, and then I'm going to press this brew release switch. And that's going to release the coffee concentrate that we've made here. And it's actually going to be about 24 ounces that we get. And this is very strong. We're going to dilute it later to make our drinkable coffee, but you can see it's just going to flow out. When we're done, we switch that off, and you can see here again about 24 ounces that we get out of that. Now let's take the stopper. Again, this covers the top, and it's got this little silicone ring on the outside to make sure there's a tight seal. I like to store mine in the fridge, so I'll put that on top. And the other thing to note here is that the first line marks a 2-ounce pour. And that's really helpful because then when we're ready to actually make our coffee, we can just pop that off. We're going to put in 2 of these 2-ounce pours of the concentrate. Then we're going to go to the fridge, and we're going to get some water. And so here's our first one. We'll do a second one as well. So 4 ounces total I like to use. Then we're going to do 4 of those pours of water. And here we go. That's our mixture. Drop in a little bit of milk. And we're done. And that's how we make really delicious cold brew coffee with the OXO Good Grips cold brew coffee maker. And it is really yummy, really delicious.